All the bookstores here are like spectacles on their own, and I think one day I'd really like to just go to all the bookstores in Shanghai and just have a look. I think that'd be something. Maybe that could be a video. All the bookstores in Shanghai that I like. 5 bookstores. Cool bookstores in Shanghai. Who would watch that? I don't know. I would. Maybe that's enough of a reason to make it. So yeah, after that really rambly introduction, I thought, why not film a video like this? So the first bookstore I went to is called Tetsuya Books, and it's a Japanese chain store all across the city, and probably even country. This store was actually recommended to me by my aunt, so I do think that there are a lot of locals that frequent this space. With a few of the other bookstores in this video, I had to do a bit of extra digging in order to find, but I think this place is quite interesting. The space is designed very thoughtfully, and they had a whole table of cat books, which I really appreciated. Upstairs they have an artist's quarter, and as you go up the floor, like that landing area, there is a little exhibit space. I didn't actually get any footage of this, but from memory they had a photography exhibit of Shanghai throughout the ages, but I'm pretty sure it's constantly changing, so perhaps when you're there next time, it'll be something completely new. As you walk through the second floor, there are a lot of books on art and design, a lot of coffee table books as well. Sometimes I find it really fascinating going to bookstores in different countries. I think you really get to see the inner worlds of the people who live here and their values and philosophies, their interests, and as a society, their aesthetic language. It's all curated for you through the types of books you find in their bookshelves or their bestsellers list, or even the edition or the type of cover that publishers believe will sell well in this region. I just think it's really interesting and perhaps a nice little shorthand to get to know a country. But anyway, since this is an artist's quarter, there are a lot of books on design and fine arts, which I really adore. So you can see me right now flipping through this book. I'm pretty sure this one was a Morris & Co textbook or picture book. Once you've explored the whole bookshop, the exit actually takes you to this gorgeous internal courtyard, and on the day that I was here they had a little marketplace. Sometimes I find that with a lot of these bookstores, they're in quite popular locations in Shanghai, so after you explore each bookstore, it's really worth experiencing the surrounding neighbourhood and the different cultures in these small pockets of the city. So the second bookstore I went to is called Xinhua Library, and it's known to be quite a big bookstore when I was doing my research online, so I was very excited to go. What actually surprised me was that this whole bookshop occupied the top floor of the shopping complex, which had a lot of, I don't know what you'd call these, like little Greek statuettes. I'm not too sure what that was all about, but it was quite interesting. I think this bookshop was also designed by what I'm assuming to be a very well-known architect. For the majority of the store, bookshelves had voids in the center of them around waist to head height. I thought it was quite interesting the way these spaces are designed to allow you to see through each row and across the room. The little windows allow you to see people reading, and it creates an almost communal space without anyone actually talking or interacting with each other. I thought it was so cute. I actually felt like this whole setup felt very Wes Anderson-y. As much as I've tried to capture that, I am still a girl who points her camera in the vague direction she wants to film in and hopes for the best, so my camera angles don't exactly reflect that. But yeah, there I am, reading. I spent a long time in this bookstore, even though this floor plan doesn't really look super complicated. I still managed to get lost so many times. I think it's just how chock-a-block full this bookstore was. You never feel like you were going through the same place twice. I'm pretty sure I spent quite a few hours here, and I don't even know if I explored the whole place. This place is just such a maze, and it's such a labyrinth to get through. Eventually I did end up finding their mezzanine amphitheatre space, and I think this must have been the main attraction of the bookshop, because all around it there were plaques talking about the design and the architect, and I suppose the heritage of the site. To enter into this part of the bookstore, you actually come in through a very small passage. So when everything opens up and when you do actually see the whole space, it's so expansive and unexpected. I think it's just such a nifty little trick to create a sense of grandeur and almost making things appear holy or otherworldly. I think I've read that this is also a tactic that a lot of sites of worship employ to evoke that sense of connecting with divine spirit or God. Obviously that's not exactly what this place is trying to do as well, but I think that sense of openness and expansiveness. It works really well here as well. To get onto the mezzanine floor, there's this big spiral ladder that clings onto one of the bookshelf walls, and the bookshelf walls on the bottom floor have been lined up to about eye level, just filled with books. And I think for someone who is a little bit of a bookworm like me, this is quite literally the dream. While I was here, I thought this actually reminded me so much of the Beast's library in Beauty and the Beast. I imagine this to be like a very modern interpretation of that. Anyways, from the top floor, you can see this massive screen that shows the construction process of the whole place. And before this, they also had interviews with the architect talking about the concept and the design process, and it was all quite interesting. Also, if you walk up the stairs closest to the projector, there are books all about good design and design philosophy and how to master technical drawings, stuff like that. So it was quite clear that someone had a very dominant hand in selecting everything that went into this particular face of the bookstore. When you look up, there are stars and constellations projected onto this night sky. I think these lights were meant to represent the constellations visible in Shanghai during the time that you're there, but it does look like a looped video of shimmering lights with a few constellations superimposed above them. Regardless, I thought it was really beautiful, everything combined together. I found some of the book titles in the store quite funny, like this one says, Chinese people love to eat, or Chinese people can really eat. I thought that was so funny. But speaking of eating, once you've finished exploring this bookstore, it's actually really close to Koreatown, so you can literally hop onto the metro and go 2 stops over to the heart of Koreatown. Or if you prefer, I'm pretty sure you can walk over as well, it's not a super long path. On this day, I ate gyuksu, which are noodles in a soybean broth. They were really lovely, and I actually have talked about this extensively in another video, so I'll try not to bore you with this too much. But there are so many different restaurants to choose from here, so you really do have such a wide variety of food if you come here. I actually think that these two activities are really nice to do in tandem with each other. So you can go to the bookstore first, and then you can come to Koreatown for a little snack. It's definitely enough activities to occupy a whole day. So the next recommendation I have is more so a street, Hengshanlu. It's lined with coffee shops and cute little independent bookstores. All of the shops here would be equally as eclectic and cute, but the bookstore that I'm showing you right now would be more of a vintage bookstore, I guess you could say. In addition to their book section, there were also a lot of older editions of Asian magazines, vinyl records, and cute little nooks that you could sit and find a jigsaw puzzle and solve it while you're in there. Also, right next to this bookstore, there was a really famous park. It's quite large and it's a popular spot for families. Since I went during springtime, this park was so alive, even late into the afternoon, so it was really super duper adorable. I think exploring all these cute little shops in the area and then relaxing in the park would be my ideal itinerary. It's just a really lovely, tranquil place to be and stay and people watch. They have this overhead bridge that you can walk across to see the whole park, and so I would highly recommend that if you go. Also in this park there are manicured lawns that have little statues of cute little woodland animals. I think these ones were of Peter Rabbit. Maybe it was Peter Rabbit. Or maybe it's a character around these parts that I'm not entirely familiar with. As the sun sets, this is what this area looks like at nighttime. That is a temple that is famous, so maybe you'll know it. I don't remember it. I don't remember the name, but I thought it's so cute. And also, this is an ad of a cat. Isn't it adorable? I had to capture it. So the next store I went to is called Zhongshu Lou, which is in Xuhui Bingjiang, which is along the riverside, or one of the riversides in the city. And this one was quite interesting as well. The whole place was designed with a mirror on the roof, so it looked twice as big as it actually was. All these bookshelves were designed as concave shapes, so I thought they looked a little bit like tree trunks. Although, you know, that's all kind of up to interpretation. Sometimes you find the weirdest things in these bookstores, like, look at this llama with glasses on it. What's up with that? But I don't know, it's cute, isn't it? I think this place is quite interesting because of the unique shapes they decide to make all of the bookshelves that they have. So it creates this space where they have a lot of internal nooks and crannies that you can worm your way into, and they have these really cozy and secluded areas. So the lucky last bookstore that I want to talk about is Xujiahui Shuyuan, which is basically translated to mean the location Xujiahui bookstore. This place is so large and grand. It has 3 floors and a basement, and it was the only store that I went to that had its own dedicated security on each floor. I was only really able to get footage of the bottom floor, with this gorgeous astronomy exhibit with little models of the various tools people used throughout the ages to see and hypothesize about the universe and our place in it. On the far side of this level is where this white, almost semi-transparent 3D printed structure of a Chinese pagoda door was. And of course, like all good things in this country, there's a little video beneath it showing the design and construction process of this little centerpiece. There was also a kids zone that kind of looked like a childcare centre where all the children were very civilized, all reading and none of them actually running around. And also this really interesting robot contraction that, if I am understanding it correctly, is like a little robot librarian that sorts through books that have been returned. The zone is called Smart Library, so I wonder if the store has a returns program. I'm not too sure, so maybe don't quote me on that. But the last thing that I wanted to show you was this gift shop at the very bottom, so the basement floor. This is a corner where you can see people hand making rugs, like those TikTok videos where they shoot all the yarn through the canvas. But the majority was either cute little displays or little knickknacks that you could buy. I found this wall really interesting. For this section, there were little cubbies where on the outside there was a plan or elevation of a famous building in Shanghai, and when you open it, you get to see what the building actually was, as well as a little synopsis about the place. I thought it'd be a really fun game for an aspiring architect or student to play, to see a drawing and then try to guess it. Although I'm sure they would know all of them if they were, based and living in the city. There are also some records of really old songs that I have never heard of before in my life, but my family did, so I think maybe that's just a generational thing. This level also had other almost like staged areas, although I wouldn't be surprised if they changed it out every now and then. And so I think this concludes my short little video on a few of the amazing bookstores that you can find in Shanghai. Shanghai is such a big city that is constantly changing and evolving, so there are many more bookstores that I could not have covered all in one video. There are so many different diverse bookstores across the city, like half bar, half bookshop. There's even a bookstore on the top floor of one of the biggest skyscrapers in the city as well. So I think anyone can find a unique experience that they can really enjoy here. I find all the bookstores here to just be so interesting because, at least where I'm from, bookstores are just that, a store where you can buy books. It's never really made into so much of a spectacle. I think when I came back to the city, I was just so enamored by all the beautiful architecture that is all essentially based around the same product. They're all, like all of these bookstores, they're just trying to sell books. But each of these shops have such a different interpretation of how we experience the act of reading, or what a bookstore or library really is. I will admit that maybe the reason why I was so excited to make this video was due to the rose-tinted glasses that I was wearing while on holiday. That makes everything seem so amazing and beautiful. But yeah, I think this is where I'll wrap up this video. Thank you for letting me indulge in my little presentation of some of the bookstores that I visited this year. And as always, thank you very much for watching.